guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Benny and I work as a data scientist. Today, I'm going to share with you the most captivating book I've read. I found it deep, profoundly inspiring, and something that will always be relevant. It will transform the way you think. It's The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm going to condense this book into 12 concepts. Let's jump right in. Concept 1. Identifying with your mind leads to compulsive thinking. If I asked you a question, how do you identify yourself? Take a moment to think about it. Some of you might identify yourselves through your religion, nationality, your likes or dislikes, or perhaps the roles that you take on in the society, like your job, gender, or your romantic relationship status. When you take on different roles under different circumstances, it's like you take on different characters in a game. You have a character at work, you are someone else around your friends, and someone else around your family. If you think about it, as kids, this doesn't happen a lot. Kids are the same in mostly every situation. But as life goes on, these characters get more complex, and we think we need to assume these characters to function in the society. Our friend Eckhart says that almost everyone suffers from this, hence it's considered normal. This compulsive thinking causes separateness. You are separated from your true being that is hidden somewhere in the closet waiting to come out in this very complex world full of problems and conflict. Our mind is very powerful. It's an excellent instrument. But in situations like these, it's not that we use it wrongly. Usually we don't use it at all. The mind uses us. The mind identifies us. We derive a sense of self from the content of the mind, mostly stuff that has happened in the past. Identifying with your mind leads to compulsive thinking. This leads us to concept 2, create a gap in the stream of thinking. The way we can stop this compulsive thinking is by creating a gap in our stream of thinking. The next time you're incessantly thinking, observe. I bet it's probably the hardest thing you would ever have to do because most of the time we don't know we are doing it. But try to observe and do not judge. Just observe your thoughts. What are you thinking about? Is it relevant when you're sipping tea on the couch? Perhaps not. If observing thoughts are difficult for you, you can observe your emotions. Observe the emotions that the thought brings out. Maybe you are angry, happy, or are there any egoic intentions? Every time you create a gap in your stream, your consciousness grows stronger. Concept 3 is mind and emotions are closely related. We can observe our emotions as an alternative because the mind and emotions are related. For instance, if we think about an attack or hostile thought, our body creates all this buildup of energy and it's ready to fight. These biochemical changes that happen in our body represent the material aspect of the emotion. Hence, observing your emotions could be the way to bring mind into awareness. After you've observed it, disconnect it. Force yourself to stop the thoughts and be still, a state of no thought, no mind. Concept 4 is the illusion of time. Let's talk about the concept of time a little. Our friend E.T. says that the time is everything in the past and future. The present is the now. The present is the state of no time. When we talk about eternity, we are not talking about endless time, but we are talking about no time. The famous phrase, therefore I am, used by philosophers, Christ, and Billie Eilish, signifies eternity. There is no delusion of the psychological time, which is the past and the future. Risky activity like mountain climbing, car racing, or skydiving, these activities force you to be in the now. It's intensely alive state that is free of time, problems, thinking, and burden of playing a role in the society. If you have watched The Free Solo starring Alex Honnold, you'll know that slipping away from the now may mean death. Concept 5. Mind and time are best friends. Mind and now are enemies. The relationship between the mind and psychological time, which is the past and the future, are like best friends. They are inseparable. But the mind resists the now, the present. For the mind to remain in control, it seeks to fill the now with past and future, and so your true nature becomes obscured by the mind. To be identified with the mind is to be trapped in time, the compulsion to live almost exclusively through memory and anticipation. Don't create more time than what is required to run practical aspects of life. Make now the primary focus of your life. Instead of making the past and the future the dwelling places for you, make now the dwelling place and pay brief visits to the past and future. But sometimes, if someone has wronged you, betrayed you, or you are being taken advantage of, the present can be awful, unacceptable, or even unpleasant. In those cases, observe how your powerful mind labels the situation through judgment and creates pain and unhappiness. We need mind and time in our lives to function, but we must be aware of the point when they take over our lives and dysfunction, pain, and sorrow set in. Every time you find yourself slipping away into the illusion of time, ask this very simple question. Is there ease, joy, and lightness in what I'm doing? If not, the psychological time is covering up your present moment, hence it's a struggle. When you are living your life in this psychological time, you're creating drama in your life. Some people love this because the story is their identity. Too much time and energy is invested already. But if you live in the complete acceptance of what is, all drama ends. Concept 6. Body's energy field creates pain body. As long as we identify ourselves with the mind, pain is going to be our best friend. This is not the kind of pain that causes growth. This is the pain that causes suffering. Who wants a shitty friend like that? As we go through life, we experience joy, happiness, pain, and sorrow. With each of these experiences, our mind creates memories and works as a logging system. It records all the experiences and emotions attached to it. Over time, these accumulate. If you have more pain logged, you might notice some people tend to become bitter and unhappy. Eckhart says that this is because it increases the negative energy field in your body. This is the pain body. This energy field has two states. It can be dormant or active. In some people, it may be triggered through some pain that resonates from the past, and in others, they might live their whole life in the pain body in a dormant state. In the active state, it can be irritation, anger, impatience, depression, or even rage. Concept 7. Pain is like a virus. The pain body is like a virus. It wants to survive, and that is only possible if it identifies with you. So you, the host, become the food when you identify with it, and the pain body takes over you, making you sick. Pain can only feed on pain. It cannot feed on joy. Once you are in the pain body, like a virus, you want more pain, and then you either become a victim or a perpetrator. Either you want to inflict pain or suffer, or both. It is afraid of the light of your consciousness. But because of the law of familiarity, you would rather be in the pain body because it's familiar than risk losing the unhappy self. All pain in life is due to resistance. All negativity is resistance. It's the resistance of the mind to let go. All resistance creates pain and suffering and accumulates over time. All this unease, disorientation occurs when we seek ourselves in the mind. Anxiety is when there is too much future and too little present. Resentment, regret, and guilt when there is too much past and there's too little present. Our mind loves problems because it gives us identity of sorts. Concept 8. Deep and ordinary unconsciousness. Just like sleep, how we have different phases, like our light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, there can be different phases of unconsciousness. These phases only vary in the degree of unconsciousness, where deep unconsciousness is when the pain body is triggered and can lead to something extreme like physical violence. Ordinary consciousness, on the other hand, is the feeling of a background unease all the time. It's like the humming sound of an aircon. You don't realize it until it stops. This is a constant resistance of the mind in the form of judgment, discontent, and mental projection. You realize how rarely you are at ease with yourself. One of the ways ordinary consciousness comes through is by complaining. When you complain, you make yourself a victim and are always in the state of non-acceptance. When you speak out, you are in power. If you find your now is unpleasant, you have three options. You can remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. Choose what's best for you and accept the consequences. No complaints, no negativity, no excuses, and keep your inner space clear. Sometimes there are situations when it's not your fault, but at the end, you are the one who's angry, judgmental, and making your present moment into an enemy. Unhappiness spreads more easily than a physical disease. Concept 9. Psychological fear running our lives. Psychological fear is another form of underlying emotional pain like unease, worry, anxiety, tension, nervousness, phobia, etc. The psychological fear is always of something that might happen, not of something that is happening right now. This is where your mind is in the future. This is called the anxiety gap. You can always cope with the present, but you cannot cope with the future. Concept 10. Personal goals and purpose. It's the new year and everybody has set some goals for them for the year. However, if the goals are taking up too much of your time, the present moment merely reduces to a means to an end. This takes out the joy in goal setting and you develop such a mind pattern that no matter what you achieve, the future will always seem promising and better. This is a perfect recipe for permanent dissatisfaction and non-fulfillment. Sometimes people are always waiting to get a job or to get a promotion, start investing, or start learning. It means you want the future, but not the present. You want what you haven't got, but not what you have got. Waiting is a state of mind. It's good to have a purpose in life and the direction that you are headed, but the only thing ultimately real about the journey is the step that you're taking at this very moment. Being free of the psychological time, you no longer pursue your goals with grim determination driven by fear, anger, discontent, nor the need to become someone. Concept 11. Stillness is the state of presence. Try this little experiment when you are actively waiting for a thought to come into your mind, watching it like a cat that watches a mouse hole. In that very moment, you are waiting in full alertness and are completely in the present. This is stillness in your presence. Some of us would have experienced the stillness when you're alone in the nature and just soaking in all the goodness. We also know this as Zen, the state of no mind. The awareness and stillness of the inner body has many physical benefits. It can slow down the aging process, it strengthens your immune system and triggers self-healing. You become more creative, and all creativity generates from a state of no mind. And also, you become a better listener without your mind interfering when you're listening to someone. Concept 12. Inner peace is built on forgiveness, perception, and surrender. Let's start with forgiveness. Forgiveness is when you let go of resistance, when you're no longer vulnerable. You can still be honest to people and say that their behavior was unpleasant. However, their response does not affect your inner state, and you are in the power of your energy field and your mind. You truly cannot forgive yourself or others if you drive your sense of self from the past. To be able to relieve yourself from the pain body and experience the true joy, forgiveness is the first step. The second step is perception. Everyone in this world has a worldview of how it looks like. It's a reflection of your consciousness. Through this worldview, you create your own life, be it either happy or sad. You create a story around it and live it through your conscious. The better story you have, the happier you are. The last step is surrender. You surrender by not labeling the now, not deriving your sense of self from the past or creating a constant state of anticipation thinking about the future. Lastly, what is the power of now? It's the power of your presence, your consciousness liberated from thought forms. There you go. These are the 12 concepts from the book. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.